Welcome back, everybody, to Awakening in the Rebellion 3.0. We got a preview from Mr. President. It's actually been a week, and unfortunately, I'm still attempting to make this video because I cannot shut my mouth long enough to make a short format video. So we're going to try our best today to make this under 40 minutes because it is going to be the longest part. We're going to be covering the Rebel Alliance's new previews. This is most of what is shown. It is all going to be about the early game rebels here. And a few of the general changes that affect all factions. So, yeah, getting right into this. If you haven't seen this already, this is from a live stream. So all this will be the cut-up content of the live stream. We're going to start off right away with the first image, which you can see a lot of cool things have been changed here. What we're going to be looking at first is in Category 1. You see Fleet right there. It says Fleet 1 right above there at the top. There's a small section dividing the two sections of the fleet. The top section is going to be your Tech 0 units. So if you see anything in that top section, it should be in the Tech 0 starting units that you will get as the Rebel Alliance. And that includes the new cool stuff. We'll be getting to that. The biggest change here is that the MC-80 Justice has been dropped from the top to the bottom, meaning it is now Tech 1. It is getting balanced and having improved fighters, including a new fighter. But like I said, we'll be getting to that a little bit later. But yeah, its main change is that it will be getting more advanced fighters to compensate for the fact it is no longer Tech 0, like the MC-75, which will be your new only capital ship for the Rebel Alliance at the start. You will not have the MC-80 Justice until you upgrade to Tech 1, I assume. Capital ship tech. I'm assuming they're keeping that tech. It could change. Anyways, moving on to the big change that you can see right up there. We're going to go over the fighter change. These are going to be a brand new unit class. You can see we have two of them in the first group, and then Fleet Category 2 has the blue one. If I give you the hint, we have blue, red, and gold. Does that give you an idea? Yes, we are going to have, for the very first time in Awakening of the Rebellion, the actual fighter squadrons besides Green Squadron. And I guess Wedge technically would probably count as Red Squadron, I think. But nevertheless, these are going to be a buildable unit. As you can see, we can have build more than one of them. They're going to work kind of like the clone troopers do in Awakening of the Clone Wars, where they're like the legions, and you can build a certain number of them total, and you can mix and match, so you don't have to be like, all right, I want one of each, and that's all I can have. You can have 5 of the red and 3 of the gold there, as you can see. I'm assuming we're going to have something like 10 to 15 as the build cap. They may test 10, may move it up to 15 like they did with the clones. But yes, these are going to be basically the advanced fighters of the Rebel Alliance. I believe they are going to act as like a minor hero does. They give a 2.5% bonus to their given fighter type. So X-Wings obviously being Red Squadron, and they will buff all, obviously, fighters. And Gold Squadron will buff all bombers. For the ground, we are going to have Blue Squadron. Just like in Rogue One, they will be attacking on the ground. And they're going to have some cool mechanics. But yes, they also will have U-Wings. And I do believe they buff the ground fighters, like, entirely. I'm not sure if they buff the U-Wings too. I assume so, if they're the same group. But yes, you can see the 3 ground fighters there. I'm not sure exactly what Blue Squadron has. I didn't want to find that exactly. If you want to see all that, you got to go check the live stream out. But yes, Blue Squadron will be on the ground. And obviously, just like the raids in Awakening the Clone Wars, these units, specifically the ground fighters, are going to be able to do border raids, which is brand new and really awesome. Yes, so these will do border raids just like the ARC Troopers and Jedi Knights, so you can bring 3 of them, just like in there. I'm not sure if that means only 1 Blue Squadron, or if you can bring 2 or 3 Blue Squadrons. I am going to assume for now that it's going to work like the Jedi, unless we are told otherwise. So yes, you can bring 3 total ground fighter squadrons, including like Blue Squadron, and they will be able to assist your regular raiding force of stealth troops as a border raid. So the starfighters are only going to be border raid capable, meaning they can attack 1 planet away from where you currently occupy, and your stealth troops just have to be stationed in orbit to be in this special raid, which I think is a great change. Good job, devs. Before we continue, I do want to mention the new Rebel fighter type that we will be getting. It is the pre-A-Wing. It is going to look very similar. It is the R-22. It looks pretty much the exact same as an A-Wing. It's just going to be the early tech A-Wing. I think it's supposed to be based off of the Rebel A-Wings that we see in Star Wars Rebels. That is really, really early on. I'm going to assume it's just a weaker version of the A-Wing. I have not seen any stats for it yet, but when we do find that out, I will be sure to let everyone know about them. But yeah, so far, it is going to be, I believe, one of the fighters in the MC-80 Justice, so it might not be Tech 1. I'm not sure if it will be use final, like, buildable at Tech 1, or sorry, Tech 0, or if you go to Tech 1 fighter to get it, but we will have to wait and find out. Moving on to more changes, though, to the Rebel ground fighters. We do have, like I said, border raids, and to change how the ground fighters work, there is going to be a lot of overhauls to these. Starting off with the X-Wing, we're going to have its fighter armor class changed from fighter armor, I think it's that fighter armor right now. Anyways, it will be getting heavy fighter armor, which will be immune to infantry fire. So even if it has no shields, I don't know if they will have shields. I assume they do, because X-Wings have shields. But either way, even if you took out its shields, it will not take any damage from infantry fire. You will have to use something heavier, such as an actual, like, Walkers, the Empire, or anti-aircraft guns, which are also receiving a change. But yes, they will be immune to infantry fire, which is a pretty obvious. I mean, it's a starfighter. It's got starfighter armor. It shouldn't really be taking damage from light weaponry fire. Like, your little blaster pistol is not going to do anything to an X-Wing's armor. That's just not realistic. So that is a cool change. The U-Wing is getting an insanely huge buff. It's getting gunship class armor, which will be resistant to anti-aircraft weaponry. This does not mean it is immune. It also does not mean it's going to take significantly less damage. It just means that the anti-aircraft guns will not be extra effective. They will be more like just any other weapon firing at them. So their damage will probably be reduced compared to, say, against an X-Wing. However, to counter this, they are going to be hit by a vulnerable effect. So if you have light or heavy flak, they will deal a different form of vulnerability to the U-Wing when it is hit. You'll see a little shield icon that indicates that the ship is under flak fire, meaning it is susceptible to more weapon fire from other targets. I'm not sure if that means that if another flak gun hits it, if it takes increased damage or not. I have to assume that's probably not the case. Anyways, we are also getting one change before I forget. Here, I have it written down. We are changing the gunship of Tech 0 to the X4 gunship. The Baratok gunship has been moved up to a higher tech because it was just too powerful. But yes, anyways, back to the U-Wing gunship. So the exact stats so far from what I've seen is that the light flak turrets, which means the small build pads, and the two, like I said, anti-aircraft tier 1 versions, will have a 25% debuff to the armor of, well, the defense is the actual stat that it'll be affecting on the U-Wings. And the heavy flak gun will be dealing a 50% debuff to its armor. Well, defense is the actual wording Mr. President uses in his live stream. Both the T1B from the Rebels and the ATAA from the Empire will be counted as light flak. So, rough translation of what this will look like in-game, it just means that your U-Wings will not instantly get shot down while trying to do what a gunship is supposed to do and be a fire support platform. Which is a very nice change, because if you've seen what happens right now with the current versions, the flak guns kind of just instantly shoot them down, and it's no point of even bringing in a lot of them, because, well, they get instantly destroyed. This will make it so, while they are not invincible, they are still a lot more effective, but not overpowering. Our final change to the Rebel ground air units is the change for the X-Wing's weapons, which will now have medium-linked cannons, which provide a suppression effect to small vehicles. This includes the ATPTs, the example given by Mr. President, which, assuming is the same as the type of suppression that's applied to the U-Wing by flak, meaning it is some sort of debuff to its armor, or, in this case, defense. Moving on, we actually have some general changes to aircraft for all factions, which is the buff to their speed, and also a change that hopefully will prevent fighters from getting stuck into death circles where they just endlessly circle enemy units without actually being able to attack them. Obviously, the increased speed will allow them to take a little less damage while exiting their attack run, but at the same time, their turn radius has been changed so that hopefully they can make possibly, I think, sharper turns, or in any case, at least be able to have a little better chance at lining up a strafe run against a small group of ground infantry or small vehicles, where it is not the easiest to get a strafe run when they continuously move in a circle. Gotta love that AI pathing. The next change does, like I said, once again affect all factions, which is that we will have randomized defenses for all faction buildings. So that means that all of the actual defense structures, like the outposts, the rebel camps, and the Black Sun outposts, will all have a randomized defense force, just like they do in Awakening of the Clone Wars. This means that the Black Sun will finally be receiving tech units in its randomized garrison on defense, which is a very, very nice change compared to their bunch of gangsters and swoop bikes that they currently get. And last but not least in the section here, I do want to mention that after having seen the stream, I can say that the Rebel raids do feel stronger. However, they do not feel overpowering to the point where a tier 3 garrison from the Empire will get destroyed by you and your Air Force of 3 starfighters and whatever special forces you have brought to invade the planet, which is hopefully exactly how the devs are intending it to be. Obviously, a lot of this still could be changed, but we're going to move on now to the Rebel ground vehicles, because we have a lot of changes to those as well. On to the Rebel ground infantry, and, well, actually, it's not infantry. In this case, it's all vehicles, which is the Sarah Speeder is going to be our first ground vehicle that we are going to be looking at. It has had no actual changes. However, it is now coming in a mixed company with a new unit, which is I don't actually know the name of this or what they're calling it in game. However, we're just going to call it Luke's Land Speeder, refitted with Rebel weaponry. The new Rebel Speeder with a rifle, which is actually going to be the guy on the back there with a mass driver. That is not actually just going to be a rifle. They will be having a mass driver from that, which I'm not exactly sure how that's working out. However, it is going to be really powerful because, well, mass drivers do ignore shields, though that is not exactly the most useful thing against the factions that have, like, no shielding. However, if you do encounter something with shielding, this will definitely be what you want to be using. On top of that, it does a ton of damage because, well, mass drivers, as you've probably seen if you played the base game Black Sun, do a lot of damage. So this thing definitely going to be very effective, and obviously it is very fast. It does have a blaster cannon on the front to go with that, making it actually very useful in the early game. Moving on to our next mixed company, we have the Aero 23 with the ULAV. This mixed company, with the Aero 23 being the new unit that we had previously seen, it has 1 carrying unit capacity, meaning it can carry 1 ground infantry unit, which will be very important due to the changes to a certain weapon that you'll see if you watch the Empire part of this. I'm going to keep that hidden as a spoiler, because it has to be said with the ATSD. That's all I'll say. You have to see that part to know, or watch the live stream. It also has the insanely powerful ability of ping. So, yeah, sensor ping is going to be an incredibly useful ability for, well, a scout transport that can carry an infantry unit, because it will allow you to literally take ground infantry unit of rebel soldiers and go cap another landing zone without going, okay, well, is there a huge army of dudes there or turrets and my vehicle will get destroyed on the way over there or something? You can scout that out and also, well, rapidly capture ground landing zones due to the fact that this thing carries, well, infantry. Once again, though, it also comes with the UVLA, which is the little tiny rebel transport that we previously already got in the mod. I personally don't really like it, but, well, it is a vehicle, and it's no longer just by itself, so it's a little more useful now that it actually has a decent anti-vehicle vehicle due to the fact that the Air 23 does have rockets. Because I think they're rockets. Moving on, though, to our next mixed vehicle company, we have the V-35. Which is a tank destroyer. It's going to have medium laser cannons, medium laser cannon, which is the big cannon on the back there, as well as power to weapons, which is really powerful, as I'm sure if you watch my other videos, you're well aware of. That is my personal favorite ability on any unit in the entire game, because why would you say no to more damage? Is there anything wrong with more damage? Absolutely not. When in doubt, more firepower is always the answer. And accompanying it into battle will be the V-25. So mixed company of V-35 and V-25s. V-25, just like the TX-130, will both no longer fire their rockets at the same time. So they'll have a more sustained fire for their rockets. However, this also means their burst damage will not be as good. So you will no longer be able to nuke down like a bunker turret or something with a bunch of these. However, against a group of like ATSTs or ATPTs, they will be more effective because they will no longer fire all like 20 rockets or whatever you have from their entire group of them. So if you have like 5 of these things, they won't fire, you know, both of the rockets, all 10 rockets on one ATPT, and then have, well, the other 5 from the group of ATPTs just tear them to pieces because they've used all of their weaponry on one target. This means, obviously, you will be more effective against smaller units and weaker against larger ones due to the drop in, obviously, burst damage. which I personally think is a good idea, since I always felt that it was annoying that they, well, fired everything on one target and then had nothing for anything else, because a lot of units are too light to need that much firepower. It just is going to be a couple second delay between rockets. It's not like they're going to take like 20 seconds between rockets and like or something. Our next unit is not a mixed company, but it is the T1B. It has dual particle cannons in its turret and a light flak pod on the side. It's going to be pretty good because it also has those shields and the power to shields ability, making it one of the better options as a tank as the early game rebels due to its, well, obviously higher health pool. Not a whole lot of other changes to that. So moving on, we have the Free Runner, which is a new rebel vehicle. Technically, it's from the New Republic era, that they just backported it from that era and nerfed its weaponry so it's not as overpowering due to the obvious era change. This thing will be equipped with 2 blaster cannons, one facing forward and one backwards. And it's also going to have a long-range laser, which is that big cannon in the middle there. It will be able to carry 2 infantry squads, and that will be much needed due to the new need to carry the rebel infantry more often than having them run against the Empire specifically. Though I'm not sure if the Black Sun has any of those vehicles that have a certain type of cannon, a particle cannon. Alright everybody, that concludes the Rebel Alliance portion of this preview. It is most of the preview, so there's a chance I will combine the Black Sun and Empire previews into a single video because, well, if I made this fast enough, the video might be very, very short, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. If you do have any suggestions on how I can make these shorter preview videos a little more orderly and precise, or just less chaotic in general, or any other improvements you have or suggestions, leave a comment down below. If you haven't already, go check out Mr. President's channel. I will definitely leave a link down below. You can go sub to him as well. If he gets high enough subs, he might make the next preview stream a little sooner than later. And also, if you have any questions for him, he is the mod developer. I am not. Go ask him in the comment sections of one of the last 3 videos, which is, he has 2 versions of the live stream, and then a Q&A, which is separate from the live stream. Any of those ones, if you go leave a comment and he feels like the mod team is wanting to answer that type of question, they will absolutely answer your questions there. Anything that does not get answered, feel free to try and leave a comment here. I may bring them up to him, but chances are they are just not ready to announce anything related to your question if it is not being answered. Or, well, he might even just tell you that straight up. Because they are still early in development and will not be previewing everything unless it is ready and they are finalized what they want to change on this. Obviously, a lot of these things in this could still be changed because, like I said, they're still early in development. So take everything here with a grain of salt because, well, I am not a developer by them. I have no correlation to the dev team besides the fact that I make content and can talk to them occasionally. So everything here I could have said might be wrong just because I misinterpreted something. So do note that if you want to be absolutely certain, go watch the live stream. And with that, if you haven't already, leave a like on the video, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all again in the next one.